Hello, and welcome to Team 12's final code review and demo. In this first part of the video, I'm going to give a brief overview of the overall project and explain why the project is complex based on the ABET criteria. So our project was essentially to take the problem of current physical business cards and their inability to easily change, and then the high cost that comes with making these changes, in giving people an application that is low cost in comparison and gives users the ability to change their business card accordingly, as well as giving companies the ability to create employee business cards that are then managed by the business. So this application was complex for the following reasons. It had wide-ranging technical issues. We had to build an application, and that is going to involve technology and framework-specific skills. For example, we worked in the framework Flutter and used the coding language Dart. This involved UI and user experience design and backend management, which itself encompasses database and API management. So furthermore, there was no obvious solution. The ability to digitally share a business card that can be arbitrarily updated has no obvious solution outside of building an application for hosting and sharing these cards. Additionally, there were diverse groups of stakeholders. So to begin with, you had the project sponsor and obviously the development team, us, Team 12. And then mainly you had the customers. So these customers included corporations, individual employees of these corporations, students, and then really anyone interested in networking, anyone who's had to make business cards and distribute them before. This would be a really good solution to be able to share a digital business card that can be arbitrarily updated. And additionally, it had many components and subproblems. So the app had a business-oriented side and a user side that had to be developed independently. So each side needed authentication, users' profiles, and of course the business card, and each piece needed to pass through the backend API. And finally, this project involved multiple disciplines. So we already touched on this above, but the ability to work with cross-platform frameworks such as Flutter, UI and user experience, backend management, and in addition to all those technical skills, we needed project management and to be able to use concepts such as agile development. For this portion of the video, we're going to be talking about some of the artifacts that our team generated when we were formulating this problem. And so one of the main artifacts that we used from the get-go when we were kind of in the early stages of figuring this out is we used a lot of wireframes. You can see an example of one of these on the screen right here. This is what we wanted the forgot password page to look like. And so you can see in the wireframe, we have basic structure of how we wanted the screen to look, the username text box, and the reset button. But we also have some behavior encapsulated in this wireframe. So you can see this arrow here that shows that if you click on the reset button, a link is going to be sent out with that reset information. And you can see we even have some notes here when we were figuring this out. So we can look at another wireframe here for the reset password screen. And so this is very similar. We have the structure, and then again behavior. Once you click reset, we want it to take you back to the home page, which at this point in our project formulation we meant the login page by this. And so then once we had all these wireframes down, we moved on to full-on mocks of what we wanted the page to look like. So if we go back to the forgot password screen, you can see that we have that same basic structure, but it's much more realistic to what the final product will look like. And we even included multiple color palettes that we could choose from. And as you'll see in the third part of the video, we ended up going with this last one here. So again, from the reset password wireframe, we go to the reset password mock, which is again very similar. And again, we still have some of the behavior encapsulated at this point. So then a little later in the project, when we're actually getting into development and we're making tasks, we would create user stories. And we can see these on our Jira board, for each of our tasks that we created a description that was basically a small user story, what we wanted each task to accomplish from the perspective of someone using this app, what we want them to be able to do from this task. So this task was creating account field verification error handling. And this task was the login field verification error handling. And as you can see, this is both on the business side of the app as opposed to the user side. Similar tasks existed for the user portion of the app. And so that summarizes kind of the main artifacts that were generated as our team formulated this problem. Now for this final portion of the video, we're going to walk through the project from the user's perspective and then from the developer's perspective. So you can see on my screen here, I have an emulator running the Android version of the app, so we can go through it from the user's perspective. So when you first open the app, you're going to see a login screen. And if you're a new user, you can go to create an account. Turn to login, and then as we discussed, there's the user side and the business side. So if you have a business account and you want to log in, you would go to this page. Similarly, you can sign up a new business account. For our deep dive, we're going to log in as a user who already has an account. I'm going to click here and log in with this test account that we've created. The emulator can be a little slow. So when we log in, we're taken to this home screen. There's a welcome message here, depending on the email that you use. And you can see that you have your business card displayed front and center, along with a user profile image. Mine's the default at the moment. And then we can view our profile, can view contacts, add contacts, and share a profile, as well as additional options up in the menu here. So first, let's look at view profile, and we can see details about that are shown on my business card. And then we can go and we can edit these if we want. And we'll see this when we look at the backend from the developer's perspective. Let's go back home and let's look at our contacts. So you can see we have this scroll wheel right here. We can look through all our contacts and see their user icons as well. And what's really nice is you can also see contacts that you've sent, so that you've requested, and also, just as importantly, contacts that you've blocked. So that's a really nice feature there. So if we go back home, we get share profile, and so that will come up with a QR code that you can then scan, and the user would immediately be directed to your profile. So let's look at some of the menu options we have here. We can go to our FAQ, and we have all these common questions here. And again, since this is an MVP, some of these aren't filled in, they're placeholders. For example, if I click, how do I add contacts? That's filled in with Lorem Ipsum. So from FAQ, let's look at settings, and we can edit our contact details, can change our password, and again, it directs us to the general FAQ. Okay, and so then from there, you can log out, takes you right back home. Okay, so that's a walkthrough of kind of the main components of our application from the user side. So from there, let's dive into how the project looks from the developer's perspective. So right now I have the code open here in Visual Studio, but I think what will be more instructive is if we look at the GitHub project. So here's our main branch in Dev, and we have a branch for each task that we've created. We'll just be walking through the Dev branch right now, as that's the most up-to-date version. So the source code is kept in the lib folder here. And again, we have the business pages, business widgets, and then the regular pages and widgets. If you look at pages here, each page that we walked through there has its own file here. And this is written in Dart. So then if we click on one of these in an even deeper dive, you can see that every page in the Flutter framework using Dart is built using a widget. And this is very much an OOP concept. These can be thought of as very similar to Java classes. They encapsulate the behavior of that page, and you can add them in and call them from other pages. Let's look at the code. Now, if we go into the backend here, we can see that it was set up using Firebase. And within Firebase, we're using CloudStor. And we have authentication set up, but right now we're in our database. So you have different collections, and one of those collections is our users. And in each collection, you have documents. So each user gets a document, and within that document, you get fields. So the page that we're looking at when we click to view profile, see here, let's go back to that real quick. Okay, so if I go view profile here, you can see that this information here, phone number, email, address, is reflected here in the user database. So if you edit that, it'll be reflected here. So that is a full walkthrough of our project. Thank you so much for watching this video.